The morning light of two suns shone through the crystal walls of the great council building. Taemin stood in the waiting room, looking out at the strange city below. Everything here was made of crystal that changed colors in the light. Flying. Creatures with 6 wings carried messages between the tall towers. This was Valix Prime, the center of the galaxy's government. Taemin wore a simple gray uniform with Earth's flag on his shoulder. He had been Earth's main speaker to other worlds for 10 years. Today was the most important day of his career. Today, humans would ask to join the Galactic Council. Next to him, Hyejin checked her datapad one more time. She was Earth's top science advisor and had helped write their application. The pad held 30 years of human work. Medical cures they had given to sick worlds. Food they had shared with hungry planets. Peace talks they had helped with. Roads and buildings they had built on new colonies. "Are you ready?" Hyejin asked in Korean. They often spoke their old language when they were nervous. Taemin nodded. "We have done good work. They will see that." The door opened with a musical sound. A tall, thin creature with blue skin walked in. It had 4 arms and spoke through a device on its neck. "The council will see the human delegation now," it said. They walked through halls filled with art from 1,000 different worlds. Paintings that moved. Songs that came from crystals. Statues that changed shape as they watched. This was the culture of the galaxy, and humans wanted to be part of it. The council chamber was huge. It could hold 10,000 people. The ceiling was so high that clouds formed near the top. In the center was a half-circle of seats where the most important beings in the galaxy sat. There was Vorthai, the council speaker. He looked like a giant insect with wings that shone like rainbows. His people, the Cathara, could control sound waves with their minds. There was Counselor Zethara, who looked like living lightning in a glass jar. Her people were made of pure energy and could travel through space without ships. There was Grakton, the military leader. He was twice as tall as a human and covered in scales that had scars from old battles. His people were the greatest fighters in the galaxy. All around them sat hundreds of other species. Some breathed water instead of air. Some had tentacles instead of arms. Some were so small they needed special suits to be seen. Each one had special powers that made them useful to the council. Taemin walked to the speaking platform in the center. His footsteps echoed in the quiet chamber. He could feel thousands of eyes watching him. Some of those eyes weren't even eyes, as humans understood them. "Honored counselors," Taemin began. His voice was clear and strong. "I am Ambassador Taemin of Earth. I speak for all humanity today." He activated a hologram projector. Images appeared in the air above him. Pictures of human doctors working with alien patients, human engineers building bridges on distant worlds, human soldiers helping to stop wars between other species. For 30 years, humanity has worked to help our galactic neighbors. We have shared our medicine with 73 worlds. We have helped build cities on 49 planets. We have kept peace in the Outer Rim territories where pirates once ruled. The images changed. Now they showed human schools where alien children learned alongside human kids. Human restaurants serving food from 100 different worlds. Human musicians playing songs with instruments from across the galaxy. We have learned from you, and we hope we have taught you as well. We ask now to join this great council as equals, to add our voice to the chorus of galactic civilization. Taemin touched his datapad. A new image appeared. It was a map of the galaxy with every place humans had helped marked in blue light. There were thousands of points of light. Hyejin stepped forward. "Humanity offers our skills in medicine, engineering, and diplomacy. We have proven that we can work with any species, solve problems that others cannot, and bring peace where there was war." Vorthai's wings made a buzzing sound. Other counselors began to make their own species sounds. Some clicked their claws. Others flashed colored lights on their skin. A few made musical tones. Taemin had heard these sounds before in smaller meetings. It was the galaxy's version of laughter. "Human delegation," Vorthai said. His voice came through speakers that turned his bug-like clicks into words humans could understand. "We have reviewed your application." The speaker's wings moved in a pattern that Taemin knew meant dismissal. "Your species is adequate. You work hard. You follow rules. You cause little trouble. However, you bring nothing special to this council. Vorthai stood up. He was 3 times taller than Tae Min, and his wings cast shadows over the human delegation. The Kithara controls sound itself. We can break mountains with our voices or heal minds with our songs. The Zethrani are living energy. They can power entire cities or travel to distant stars in moments. The Golmek can change the shape of planets with their biotechnology. The speaker walked closer to Tae Min. What do humans do that no one else can do? Your medicine is good, but the Trillic are better healers. Your engineering is solid, but the Xerians build with living crystal. Your soldiers are brave, but the Kragnor are bred for war. More laughter sounds filled the chamber. Tae Min felt his hands tighten into fists, but he kept his face calm. You are ordinary. Vorthai continued. The galaxy has enough ordinary species. We need exceptional ones, unique ones, powerful ones. Counselor Grakton, the big reptile, spoke up. Your military is tiny? You have maybe 100 warships? We have species with thousands, species that can destroy stars. What would you do if real danger came? Run away, probably, said another counselor. This caused more laughter. Ye Jin stepped closer to Tae Min. She whispered in Korean, Stay calm. Don't let them see you angry. Tae Min took a deep breath. Counselor Vorthai, we believe that our value lies not in power, but in our ability to bring out the best in others. In 30 years, we have helped solve problems that denied. The word hit the chamber like a physical force. All the laughter stopped. The Galactic Council has no need for another ordinary species. You may apply again in 50 years if you develop something worthwhile. Perhaps you will learn to breathe in space, or move planets, or control time. Until then, you are dismissed. Vorthai turned his back on the human delegation. The other counselors began talking among themselves as if the humans were already gone. Tae Min stood there for a moment. 30 years of work, thousands of lives saved, peace brought to dozens of worlds, all of it called ordinary. He looked at Hye Jin. She had tears in her eyes, but she was trying not to show it. Behind them, the few human reporters who had been allowed to come looked shocked and angry. We understand, Tae Min said quietly. His voice was so soft that most of the council probably couldn't hear him. Thank you for your time. As they walked toward the exit, Tae Min heard one of the counselors say, At least they're taking it well. Some species throw tantrums when we reject them. Humans are too boring even for good tantrums, another replied. The laughter followed them all the way, to the door. Outside the chamber, Hye Jin finally let her anger show. Ordinary? We've saved millions of lives. We've stopped wars. We've built bridges between species that hated each other for centuries. Tae Min put a hand on her shoulder. I know. They think they're so special with their powers and their big ships. But when the Trillic plague started, who did they call? When the Outer Rim pirates were attacking everyone, who went to stop them? When species needed help talking to each other, who translated? Us, Tae Min said simply. They walked through the crystal city toward their ship. Other species they passed didn't look at them. To the galaxy, humans were just another failed applicant. On their ship, Tae Min sat in his captain's chair and opened. A communication link to Earth. The president appeared on the screen. How did it go? She asked in English. Denied, Tae Min said. They called us ordinary. The president was quiet for a moment. I see. What are your orders, Ambassador? Tae Min looked out the window at the crystal city. He watched the flying creatures carry their messages. He saw the ships from 100 different worlds coming and going, all of them part of something that didn't want humans. Send word to all our outposts, he said. All our medical stations, all our peacekeeping fleets, all our research teams. Begin Phase 7. Phase 7? The president looked surprised. Are you sure? They want to see what makes us special, Tae Min said. His voice was calm, but there was something new in his eyes. Something cold. Let's show them. The ship lifted off from Valix Prime and jumped to hyperspace. Behind them, the Galactic Council continued their meeting, already forgetting about the ordinary humans who had asked to join them. They had no idea what ordinary humans could do when they stopped trying to be extraordinary for others. 6 months after the council said no, Dr. So-young sat in her office on Kepler 442b. Through her window, she could see the Trillic city in the distance. The buildings looked like giant glass flowers, beautiful but fragile, just like the Trillic, people themselves. So-young was reading the message from Earth for the third time. The words were simple and clear. All medical aid programs will end in 30 days. Return to Earth immediately. She looked at the test tubes on her desk. Inside them was the cure for the plague that was killing the Trillic. 3 years of work, thousands of hours in the lab. They were so close to saving an entire species. Her assistant, Dr. Kim, knocked on the door. The Trillic delegation is here to see you. 5. Trillic entered her office. They were tall and thin, made of what looked like living silicon. Their bodies were clear like glass, and light moved through them in beautiful patterns. When they were healthy, they glowed like stars. But these Trillic were dim and gray. The plague was eating them from the inside. Matriarch Veltara spoke first. Her voice sounded like wind chimes. Dr. So-young, we have heard rumors. Is it true that humans are leaving? So-young nodded. I'm sorry. Earth has called us home. But the cure, Veltara said. The light inside her body flickered with fear. You said you were close to finishing it. We were. We are. So-young picked up one of the test tubes. This formula works on small samples, but we need more time to make it safe for your people. How much more time? Maybe 2 weeks, maybe a month. Veltara's light grew brighter with hope. Then stay, please. We will give you anything you need. Money, resources, workers. So-young felt her heart break a little. I can't. My orders are clear. We don't understand, said another Trillic. Why are humans leaving? Have we done something wrong? So-young thought about how to explain. How do you tell someone that your entire species has been called ordinary and rejected? How do you explain that Earth has decided to stop helping those who don't want them? It's not about you, she said finally. It's about us. Humanity is changing direction. But people are dying, Veltara whispered. Children are dying. So-young closed her eyes. When she opened them, her decision was made. I'll leave you all my research. Everything we've learned. Maybe your own scientists can finish the work. She began copying files to data crystals, research notes, test results, chemical formulas, years of work reduced to small glass cubes. This won't be enough, Veltara said. We don't understand human medicine. We think differently, see differently. I know. So-young handed her the crystals. I'm sorry. As the Trillic left, Veltara turned back one more time. If you change your mind, if Earth changes its mind, we will remember what you tried to do for us. So-young nodded, but said nothing. She knew Earth would not change its mind. Across the galaxy, similar scenes played out on dozens of worlds. Admiral Dong-hyun stood on the bridge of his flagship, the Soul. Around him, his fleet was preparing to leave the Outer Rim territories. For 15 years, human ships had patrolled these dangerous areas of space where pirates and raiders hunted merchant ships. His communication officer, Commander Park, looked up from her station. Sir, we're getting emergency calls from 3 different cargo convoys. Pirates are attacking near the Zerion system. Dong-hyun looked at the tactical display. Red dots showed where the attacks were happening. His ships could reach them in 2 hours, save hundreds of lives. Stop the pirates like they had done thousands of times before. Log the calls, he said. Send them to the nearest council patrol. Sir, the nearest council ship is 4 days away. Then log that too. Commander Park stared at him. Sir, those people will die. Yes, they probably will. Dong-hyun's voice was tired. But we are no longer the galaxy's police force. We have new orders. The fleet jumped to hyperspace, leaving the Outer Rim behind. As they traveled, more emergency calls came in. Pirates attacking trade routes, raiders capturing slave ships, criminals doing what they had always done when no one was watching. Dong-hyun listened to each call and sent them all to the council. None of his ships turned back. On the water world of Aquatica, engineer Minha watched her team shut down the quantum relay station they had built in orbit. The station was beautiful, covered in solar panels that looked like flower petals. It had taken 3 years to build and could send messages across the galaxy in minutes instead of months. The shutdown process was careful and complete. They removed all the human technology, all the special parts that made the station work. What they left behind looked like the original structure, but it was just an empty shell. "Why are we taking everything?" asked her assistant, Engineer Lee. "The other species helped build this too." "Because it's our technology," Minha said. "We shared the benefits, but the core systems are human-designed. Without our parts, it's just a big metal flower in space. But the whole sector depends on this relay. Without it, they can't coordinate trade or call for help." Minha paused in her work. She had helped design this station. She knew exactly how important it was. 17 different species used it every day. It connected isolated worlds to the galactic community. "I know," she said, "but we built it for free, and the Council called us ordinary. Maybe they can build something better with their extraordinary technology." One by one, the human-built relay stations went dark. The galaxy's communication network, which had connected distant worlds for the first time in history, began to fall apart. Captain Wu Jin of the exploration ship Persistence made his final report to the Galactic Cartographers Guild. His ship had spent 8 years mapping the dark sectors, the dangerous parts of space that no one else wanted to explore. "We have completed mapping grid 7741 through 9856, he told the guild representative, a floating creature that looked like a jellyfish made of light. "That covers approximately 40% of the unmapped territories." "Excellent work, Captain," the creature said. "When will you begin mapping the next sector?" "We won't. This is our final report." The creature's light dimmed with confusion. "I don't understand. The mapping project is only half finished. There are entire regions we know nothing about. Then you'll need to find someone else to map them." Wu Jin uploaded his final data package. "Humanity is withdrawing from the project. But why? The payment is good. The work is important." Wu Jin thought about explaining. About the Council's rejection. About how humans had been exploring the galaxy's most dangerous regions while the extraordinary species stayed safely in known space. About how they had been risking their lives to expand everyone's knowledge while being called ordinary. "We have other priorities now," he said simply. "The data transfer finished. 8 years of exploration, thousands of star charts, maps of safe routes through gravity storms and cosmic radiation fields, all of it given to the galaxy one last time. Good luck with your future mapping efforts," Wu Jin said. He cut the communication and ordered his ship to return to human space. On Earth, President Kim sat in her office reading reports from around the galaxy. Every human outpost, every aid station, every research facility was closing down. The withdrawal was happening exactly as planned. Her advisor, Director Choi, entered with more reports. "The last medical teams have left their posts. The final patrol fleets are heading home. The relay network shutdown is complete." "Any problems?" the president asked. "Some aliens are asking questions, demanding explanations. A few are offering to pay us to stay. What did our people tell them?" "What you instructed. Humanity is pursuing new strategic objectives that require focusing our resources internally." The president nodded. It was a polite way of saying nothing. The galaxy wanted extraordinary species. They could have them. Humanity would stop trying to be something they weren't. "What about the Trillic situation?" she asked. Director Choi's face grew sad. "Dr. So Young left all her research, but their scientists can't finish the cure. The plague is spreading faster now." "And the Outer Rim territories?" "Complete chaos. Pirate attacks have increased by 400%. The Council's military can't cover that much space." The president felt a moment of doubt. "Maybe we're being too harsh. These people need our help." "They needed us before the Council meeting too," Director Choi reminded her. "But they still voted to reject us, still called us ordinary, still laughed at our application." That was true. When the Council had voted, not a single member species had spoken up for humanity. Not the Trillic that humans had saved from 3 different plagues, not the Outer Rim worlds that humans had protected for 15 years. Not the isolated planets that humans had connected to galactic civilization. They had all stayed silent, while the Council called humanity ordinary and worthless. "Continue with the withdrawal," the president said. But keep monitoring the situation. I want to know everything that happens. Across human space, ships and people came home. Scientists who had spent decades studying alien diseases, engineers who had built wonders on distant worlds, soldiers who had kept peace in lawless sectors, diplomats who had prevented wars between species that barely understood each other. They all came home to an Earth that was ready to focus on itself. For the first time in 30 years, the galaxy barely noticed at first. Individual species wondered where their human helpers had gone, but they assumed it was temporary. 8 months after the humans left, Council Speaker Vorth High received the first crisis report while eating his morning meal. The food turned to ash in his mouth as he read the numbers. 47 merchant ships destroyed in the last week, his aide reported. The aide was a young Kithara whose wings trembled with nervousness. The Outer Rim territories are calling it the worst pirate surge in galactic history. Vorth High set down his food. Where are our patrol fleets? Spread too thin, sir. We have 12 ships trying to cover the space that 30 human vessels used to protect. Then send more ships. We don't have more ships, sir. Our fleets are already covering their maximum patrol areas. Vorth High's wings buzzed with irritation. He had been council speaker for 20 years. He had handled alien invasions, stellar disasters, and political crises. But this was different. This was like trying to hold water with a broken cup. What about hiring private security? The mercenary fleets are demanding prices we can't afford, and most of them are afraid to enter the Outer Rim now. The pirates have gotten too strong. On his desk, another report arrived. This one was from the Trillic homeworld. The plague that humans had almost cured was spreading again. Worse than before. Entire cities were going dark as their silicon-based inhabitants died by the thousands. Trillic matriarch Veltara appeared on his communication screen. Her once beautiful crystal body was now gray and cracked. The light inside her was dying. "Council Speaker," she said, her voice like breaking glass. "My people are dying. We need the human cure." The humans left their research notes, didn't they? Notes we cannot read, formulas we cannot understand. We are silicon-based life. They are carbon-based. We think differently, see differently. We need their scientists. Have you tried contacting them directly? Veltara's dim light flickered with shame. We have sent 12 messages to Earth. They send back polite responses saying they are focusing on internal priorities. Vorth High felt a cold sensation in his stomach. What does that mean? It means they won't help us. Veltara's image wavered as her strength failed. "Speaker, my youngest daughter died yesterday. She was only 50 years old. In 3 months, there will be no more children born on our world. In a year, there may be no Trillic left at all." The transmission ended. Vorth High stared at the blank screen for a long time. His aide brought another report. This one made his wings droop with despair. "The quantum communication network has collapsed completely," the aide said. "The human relay stations were the backbone of the whole system. Without them, we can't coordinate anything across more than a few star systems. Can't our own people build replacements? Our engineers have been trying for months. The human technology was more advanced than we realized. Each relay station had thousands of tiny improvements that we never noticed. Small things that added up to make the impossible seem routine." Vorth High thought about this. The humans had always made their technology look simple, clean, basic designs that worked perfectly. He had assumed that meant the technology itself was basic. What about the exploration data? The star charts from the dark sectors? That's another problem, sir. The exploration ships that use the human charts are reporting navigation errors. It seems the humans updated their charts constantly as they mapped. Without ongoing updates, the charts become dangerous to use. How dangerous? 3 ships have been lost this month. They tried to use old human charts to travel through the dark sectors. The gravitational fields had shifted since the charts were made. Vorth High felt his world spinning out of control. "Get me the military advisor." Grakton arrived within minutes. The huge reptilian warrior looked tired and angry. His scales, usually bright with health, had turned a dull gray. "Speaker," Grakton said, "we have a serious problem." "Another one? The Free Trade Coalition has declared independence from the Council." Vorth High's wings went completely still. What? 17 Outer Rim territories. They say the Council can't protect them anymore, so they're forming their own government. That's rebellion. Send the fleet. Grakton's laugh was bitter. What? Fleet? Half our ships are chasing pirates. The other half are trying to deliver emergency supplies to plague worlds. And even if we had ships available, the Coalition has protection. From whom? Guess. Vorthai felt his world crumble a little more. The humans. Human warships have taken up patrol positions around Coalition worlds. They're not attacking Council forces, but they're making their presence known. Any Council ship that enters Coalition space gets a polite warning to turn around. I thought humans were focusing on internal priorities. Apparently, protecting free worlds is an internal priority for them now. Grakton brought up a holographic display showing the galaxy. Red zones marked areas of pirate activity. Yellow zones showed plague outbreaks. Orange zones indicated communication blackouts. Green zones marked the few areas still under effective Council control. The map was mostly red, yellow, and orange. How did this happen so fast? Vorthai asked. It didn't happen fast, Grakton said. It happened slowly over 30 years. We just never noticed because humans were fixing everything before it became a crisis. What do you mean? Grakton highlighted. Different areas of the map. Look at this. Every place humans had a medical station, there's now a plague outbreak. Every trade route they patrolled is now controlled by pirates. Every communication relay they maintained has gone silent. They were that important? They were the glue holding our civilization together. We thought they were ordinary because their work looked easy. But they were only easy because humans are very, very good at making hard things look simple. Vorthai studied the map more carefully. The pattern was clear now. Human activities hadn't been random. They had been strategic. Every human outpost, every aid program, every patrol route had been placed exactly where the Council's own systems were weakest. They knew, he whispered. They knew what would happen if they left. Of course they knew. They're not stupid. They spent 30 years studying our weaknesses while pretending to help us. Were they pretending? Grakton considered this. No. I think they really wanted to help. But they also wanted to be useful, needed, valued. When we rejected them, they showed us exactly how valuable they had been. Another aide rushed in with urgent news. Speaker, the agricultural worlds are reporting crop failures. The human-developed grain varieties are dying. Why? The soil enhancement techniques were more complex than we understood. Without human agricultural scientists to maintain them, the enhanced soils are becoming toxic to plant life. Vorthai put his head in his hands. Or tried to. His insect anatomy didn't really allow for that gesture. Instead, he let his wings droop completely. How many worlds are affected? 37 agricultural worlds report crop failures. Food. Prices have increased by 200% in the last month. Some planets are already experiencing hunger riots. The reports kept coming, each one worse than the last. The Xerians, masters of dimensional folding, discovered they couldn't navigate safely without human gravitational charts. Their ships kept getting lost in space-time distortions. The crystal builders of Altair found that their most ambitious projects were collapsing. The human engineers had provided tiny but crucial calculations that kept the impossible structures stable. Even the energy beings of the core worlds were having problems. The power grid they used to distribute energy across their territory had been designed with human help. Without human maintenance, it was becoming unstable. It's like losing a vital organ, Counselor Zethara told the emergency session. Her usually bright energy form was dim with worry. We didn't notice how important humans were until they were gone. They were ordinary, protested Counselor Vexirin. We all agreed. They had no special powers. Maybe, said Grakton. Being ordinary was their special power. The room fell silent at this. Think about it, he continued. Every other species in the Council is specialized. We Kragnor are warriors. The Kithara control sound. The Zethrani are living energy. We're all very good at one thing. And humans? Humans are pretty good at everything. Not the best at anything, but good enough at everything to help others be their best. Counselor Morden, whose silicon-based people were dying of the plague, spoke up. My people are crystalline engineers. We can build cities that last forever. But we know nothing about biology. When the plague came, human doctors didn't just treat us. They learned to think like us, to see disease the way we see it. The pirates in the Outer Rim aren't stronger than our military, added another counselor. But they knew exactly when and where to strike because humans were no longer there to stop them. Humans understood strategy in a way that made our enemies predictable. Vorthai listened to the discussions with growing dread. The truth was becoming clear. Humans hadn't been rejected because they were weak. They had been rejected because they were threatening. Not threatening with weapons or power, threatening with competence, with the ability to do whatever needed doing, with the uncomfortable truth that maybe the galaxy didn't need extraordinary beings as much as it needed reliable ones. What are our options? He asked finally. The room was quiet for a long moment. We could try to rebuild everything ourselves, suggested one counselor. That would take decades, maybe centuries, and we don't have the knowledge. 14 months after the humans left, Counselor Zethara materialized in the emergency session chamber as crackling lightning barely contained in her energy suit. Her usual calm glow had been replaced by violent electrical storms that made the lights flicker. 26 more worlds declared independence this week, she announced, her voice distorting with static. They're all joining the Free Trade Coalition. We're losing entire sectors. Speaker Vorthai looked around the chamber. It was smaller now. Many species could no longer afford to send representatives to Valix Prime. Those who remained looked tired and desperate. The great crystal windows were dim because the power grid was failing. Even on the Council's capital world, things were falling apart. How many worlds do we have left? He asked. 312, reported his aide, down from 847 at the start of the year. The numbers hit like physical blows. More than half the galaxy had abandoned the Council in just over a year. And the Free Trade Coalition? 436 worlds now. They're growing every day. Grakton, the military advisor, brought up the tactical display. The map of the galaxy had changed completely. Green areas showing Council control had shrunk to a few isolated clusters. Blue areas marking the Coalition now covered most of the outer and mid-rim territories. The Coalition isn't just surviving, Grakton said. They're thriving. Trade is flowing freely. Pirate attacks have stopped completely. Their worlds are prosperous and safe. How is that possible? Demanded Counselor Vexerin. They don't have our military strength or our advanced technology. They have something better, Grakton replied. They have human protection. The room fell silent. Everyone knew it was true, but no one wanted to say it. The human fleets aren't just patrolling Coalition space, Grakton continued. They're building something. Our scouts report massive construction projects around Coalition worlds. Orbital, platforms, defensive stations, communication networks, all using technology we've never seen before. Impossible, Vexerin said. Human technology is basic, ordinary. Was ordinary, Grakton corrected. Intelligence reports suggest that while we've been falling apart, human space has been advancing rapidly. They're not the same species we rejected. Vorthai felt a chill run through his exoskeleton. Show me. The tactical display zoomed in on human space. What they saw made several counselors gasp in shock. Earth was surrounded by massive ring-shaped structures that dwarfed anything the Council had ever built. Artificial worlds, orbital factories, defensive platforms that looked like metal flowers but radiated power signatures that made Council warships look like toys. When did they build all this? Zethara asked, her energy form flickering with disbelief. We think they started building the moment they left Council space, Grakton said. All the resources they used to spend helping us? They redirected everything toward internal development. But this level of construction should take centuries, unless you have technologies that make construction faster. Technologies they developed while we thought they were ordinary. Counselor Mordoon, whose crystal people were now down to their last few thousand survivors, spoke up weakly. Have we received any response to our diplomatic request? Vorthai checked his messages. Nothing. It's been 14 months since we asked for a meeting. They said to expect a response in 12 months. Maybe the message was lost? No. We've sent 17 follow-up messages. They acknowledge receiving each one and remind us that our request is still being reviewed. The truth was becoming clear. Earth was making the Council wait on purpose, making them feel what it was like to be ignored and dismissed. "We need to try a different approach," suggested Councillor Telvain, whose water-breathing people were facing starvation as the ocean farming techniques broke down. "Send a larger delegation. Make it clear how urgent the situation is." "To where?" Grakton asked. "Human space is closed to all Council vessels. They've established a perimeter around their territory. Any ship that approaches gets politely turned away." "Politely?" "Very politely. They don't threaten or attack. They just say that Council vessels are not authorized to enter human space and suggest we apply for visitor permits through proper channels." "What proper channels?" "The ones that take 12 months to process requests." Vorthai felt trapped in a nightmare that kept getting worse. "What about going around them? Contacting the Coalition directly?" "We tried," Zethara said. "The Coalition worlds won't meet with Council representatives without human approval, and humans won't approve meetings with the Council until our diplomatic request is processed." "Through proper channels," Grakton added grimly. Another aide entered with more bad news. "Speaker, we're receiving reports of system failures across the core worlds. The energy distribution network is having cascading shutdowns. I thought the energy beings could fix that themselves. They're trying, but the network was more complex than anyone realized. The human consultants provided thousands of small modifications. Over the years, without their input, the system is becoming unstable." Zethara's form flickered more violently. "We built that network. It's our technology." "Built with human improvements," the aide replied. "Every component has been modified or optimized using human engineering principles. We have the blueprints for the original system, but not for the version that actually works." The reports kept coming, each one worse than the last. The agricultural worlds were now facing complete famine. The soil enhancement wasn't just failing, it was actively poisoning the land. Billions of people were hungry and angry. The communication blackouts had spread to the core worlds. Without the quantum relay network, the Council couldn't coordinate responses to crises. By the time orders reached distant worlds, the situations had usually gotten much worse. The exploration fleets had stopped venturing into unknown space. Too many ships had been lost trying to use outdated star charts. The galaxy was becoming smaller as safe travel routes disappeared. Even worse, strange reports were coming from the border regions. Unidentified ships with advanced technology helping. Coalition worlds, ships that looked human but were far more advanced than anything Earth had possessed before. "We need to face reality," Mordun said, his crystal body now so dim it was barely visible. "We're dying. Our civilization is collapsing. Pride won't save us now." "What are you suggesting?" Vorthai asked. "Surrender." The word hung in the chamber like a toxic gas. No one wanted to breathe it in. "Not military surrender," Mordun clarified. "Political surrender. Admit we were wrong. Admit we need them more than they need us. Beg if we have to." "The Council does not beg," Vexerin said stiffly. "The Council may not exist much longer if we don't," Mordun replied. Grakton brought up the latest intelligence reports. "Our spies in Coalition space report something interesting. The humans aren't just protecting Coalition worlds, they're improving them. New technologies, better medicine, faster communication. The Coalition isn't just surviving without us. They're becoming more advanced than we are. In 1 year, human technological development seems to accelerate when they're not spending resources on helping others. Our analysts estimate they've advanced more in the last year than in the previous 50. Vorthai felt his last hope dying. "Are they building an invasion fleet?" "That's just it," Grakton said. "They're not. Human ships are purely defensive. They protect Coalition worlds and patrol trade routes, but they don't attack Council territory. They're not trying to conquer us." "Then what do they want?" "Nothing, apparently. That's what makes this so devastating. We can't negotiate with someone who doesn't want anything from us." Councillor Yelthari, whose people specialized in psychology, spoke up. "Perhaps that's exactly the point. Humans don't want anything from us because they've learned they don't need us. But we need them." "Exactly. They've created a perfect reversal. Before, they needed us and we didn't need them. Now we need them and they don't need us. The emergency," Session continued for hours, but no solutions emerged. Every suggestion ran into the same problem. How do you negotiate with someone who won't talk to you? How do you offer deals to someone who already has everything they want? As the session ended, Vorthai received one more message. This one wasn't from a council world or a coalition territory. It was from a group he had never heard of. The Terran Alliance, his aide reported. 47 independent species that have formed a new alliance with humanity. They're offering humanitarian aid to council worlds. What kind of aid? Medical supplies for the plague worlds, food for the agricultural crisis, security for the trade routes. Vorthai felt a spark of hope. What do they want in return? His aide's expression grew uncomfortable. Nothing, sir. They say it's unconditional humanitarian aid for species in crisis. Nothing? Well, there is one condition. Council worlds that accept the aid have to agree to treat all species as equals, regardless of their special abilities or technological level. The irony was like a knife in Vorthai's pride. Humans were offering to save the Council using the exact same principles the Council had rejected when humans applied for membership. They're making us choose, he realized. Accept their help and accept their values, or maintain our pride and die. What are your orders, Speaker? Vorthai looked around the chamber one more time. 2 years after humanity's quiet withdrawal, the Galactic Council held its final meeting in a small conference room that could barely hold 50 beings. The Great Crystal Chamber had been shut down to save power. Most of the Council's former territory now belonged to either the Free Trade Coalition or the Terran Alliance. Speaker Vorthai looked around at the handful of representatives who still came to these meetings. Many species couldn't afford the trip to Valix Prime anymore. Others had simply stopped caring about a government that could no longer govern. The human response has arrived, he announced, his voice lacking the authority it once carried. The room fell silent. They had been waiting for this moment for months. Earth had finally agreed to respond to their desperate requests for a meeting. Ambassador Tae-min appeared on the main screen. But this wasn't the simple gray uniform and humble demeanor they remembered. He wore elegant diplomatic robes that seemed to shift and flow like liquid starlight. Behind him, through massive windows, they could see the construction that surrounded Earth, ring worlds and orbital cities that made the Council's greatest achievements look like children's toys. Honored counselors, Tae-min began, his voice carrying the same polite tone he had used 2 years ago. But there was something different now. Confidence, authority. The bearing of someone who spoke for a civilization that had become truly extraordinary. Humanity has reviewed the Council's request for renewed diplomatic relations. We have also considered your requests for military assistance, medical aid, and technological cooperation. Hope flickered in the chamber. Maybe, just maybe, they could repair the damage. After careful consideration, Tae-min continued, humanity has concluded that the Galactic Council lacks the unique capabilities necessary for meaningful partnership. The words hit like a physical blow. Vorthai felt his wings droop with despair. They were the same words he had spoken to humanity 2 years ago. Your territories are destabilized, Tae-min said, reading from a formal document. Your technology has stagnated. Your military is inadequate for the challenges you face. Your member species flee to other alliances at the first sign of difficulty. Therefore, and here Tae-min's voice took on an almost gentle tone, humanity must respectfully decline the Council's application for renewed relations. You may reapply in 50 standard cycles should you develop something worthwhile. The transmission ended, leaving the chamber in stunned silence. Several counselors made sounds of despair in their native languages. Others simply stared at the blank screen. But then, unexpectedly, Tae-min's image returned. However, he said, and now his diplomatic mask had slipped slightly to show something that might have been compassion. Individual worlds and species who wish to join the Terran Alliance are welcome to submit applications. A new hope stirred in the room. Not for the Council, but for themselves. Our requirements are simple, Tae-min continued. Abandon the failed model of hierarchical supremacy that led to this crisis. Embrace the principle that every species brings unique value to the greater whole. Commit to cooperation rather than domination. He paused, and when he spoke again, his voice carried the weight of history. We offer not just aid, but partnership. Not just survival, but growth. The Terran Alliance is not a hierarchy where some species are ordinary and others are extraordinary. It is a community where every species contributes their strengths to help others overcome their weaknesses. The transmission ended for real this time. The chamber erupted in desperate discussions. Counselor Morden, whose crystal people were down to their last few hundred survivors, spoke first. I'm applying immediately. My people need the medical aid. You can't, protested Vexiran. You're abandoning the Council. The Council abandoned my people when it rejected the species that could have saved them, Morden replied. I won't let pride kill what's left of my civilization. One by one, the remaining counselors made their choice. Some applied to join the Terran Alliance. Others declared independence for their worlds. A few insisted on maintaining the Council, even if it ruled over empty space. Within days, the exodus accelerated. Worlds that had been part of the Council for centuries submitted applications to join humanity's growing alliance. The application process, they discovered, was thorough but fair, designed to identify each species' potential contributions rather than highlight their failures. The Trilek, finally receiving the completed antiviral treatment, became partners in silicon-based biotechnology research. Their unique crystalline biology, combined with human adaptability, led to breakthroughs that benefited both species. The Xerians found their dimensional folding abilities perfectly complemented human engineering. Together, they built transportation, networks that made travel across the galaxy faster than ever before. Even former Council military species discovered that the Terran Alliance valued warriors who fought to protect rather than conquer. Their strength was redirected toward peacekeeping and defense rather than dominance. Speaker Vorthai found himself alone in his office, staring out at the crystal city that was slowly going dark as its inhabitants left for better opportunities. His own people, the Cathara, had voted to apply for Alliance membership. They were tired of being ruled by pride instead of wisdom. On his desk lay his own application, carefully filled out, honestly completed. He had spent days writing the essay about what his people could contribute to a galactic community. Sound manipulation, yes, but also music, communication, and the ability to bring harmony from chaos. The irony wasn't lost on him. He was applying to join the organization led by the species he had once called ordinary. A soft chime indicated an incoming message. Taemin appeared on his personal screen, speaking from what looked like a simple office overlooking Earth's blue oceans. Speaker Vorthai, Taemin said. I wanted to personally review your application. Vorthai's wings trembled. And approved. Pending successful completion of cultural integration training. Relief flooded through him, but Taemin wasn't finished. The training program is 1 standard year. You'll be working with former Council, species who have successfully joined the Alliance, learning new ways to think about cooperation and leadership. I understand. Taemin smiled, the first genuine expression Vorthai had seen from him in 2 years. The lead instructor for your program will be Trilek Matriarch Veltara. She's become quite an expert on helping former Council leadership adapt to Alliance principles. The poetry of it was perfect. The very being whose people had nearly died because of Council arrogance would teach Council leaders how to do better. There's something else, Taemin continued. The Alliance is establishing a memorial on Valix Prime to honor the Galactic Council's contributions to galactic civilization before it lost its way. You're being very generous to a government that treated you badly. We're being human, Taemin replied. The Council did good things for 1,000 years before it became obsessed with extraordinariness. We remember the good while learning from the bad. As the call ended, Vorthai looked out at his dying city one more time. Tomorrow, he would leave for the Alliance training program. In a year, if he succeeded, his people would become partners in something greater than the Council had ever been. The Galactic Council was ending, but galactic civilization was beginning something new. Months later, on the memorial world that had once been Valix Prime, former enemies worked together to build something unprecedented, a truly galactic community where every species contributed their gifts to the common good. The crystal spires still gleamed, but now they were filled with beings working together rather than competing for dominance. Kithara sonic engineers collaborated with human architects to create buildings that sang in harmonious frequencies. Trilek bioengineers worked with Zarian dimensional specialists to develop new forms of living architecture. In the center of the old council chamber, now a community center, stood a simple plaque with words in every known galactic language. Here ended the age of the extraordinary ruling the ordinary. Here began the age of the extraordinary, emerging from the ordinary working together. Ambassador Tae-min, now Director General of the Terran Alliance, stood before the memorial during its dedication ceremony. Representatives from over 600 species attended, more diversity than the old council had ever achieved. The Galactic Council failed not because its member species were weak, he said in his speech, but because it forgot that strength comes from lifting others up, not from standing above them. He paused, looking out at the gathering that included former enemies and new friends. Humanity was called ordinary. We were told we had nothing special to offer. But we learned something important from that rejection. Being ordinary isn't a weakness. It's a foundation, and from strong foundations, extraordinary things can grow. The ceremony ended with music, a collaboration between dozens of species, creating harmonies that no single people could achieve alone. It was beautiful in a way that pure power never could be. As the crowd dispersed, Vorthai approached Tae-min. The former speaker had completed his training and now served as an alliance coordinator, helping other former council species adapt to cooperative leadership. "I wanted to thank you," Vorthai said. "For what?" "For not becoming like us. For not using your power to dominate or punish.